you.
You deserve to be happy.
Time heals all wounds.
Helpful?
Harmful.
Just because it's trending doesn't make it true. This season, we will hold up these trite sayings alongside truth.
We are your hosts, Susan Tyner
and Karen Hodge. You're listening to the Encourage Podcast. Welcome back to a brand new season of the Encourage Podcast, and it would not be the same if Susan Tyner wasn't here. Welcome back, Susan.
Oh, thank you. Happy New Year, everybody. I have to say, I was thinking about y'all over the holidays, and my words were coming back to haunt me as I was having hospitality issues.
Exactly. Both of us had some hospitality nightmares during the Christmas season. And the Lord is just so kind to give us all these illustrations that may work themselves back into a podcast, but then you're like, yes, I can hear the podcast in my earbuds, that it's a privilege to be able to serve other people, even though there's water gathering around my ankles while I'm trying to serve elders and their wives. But anyway, we digress. So we're back with a new year with just a whole new theme, and we're focusing on this whole idea. Just because it's trending doesn't make it true. And yet maybe you got a Christmas present with one of these things that we're going to cover during this series, just a snippy little cliche that we can say. So today we're going to tackle the UBU one, which, why not start with a hardball? Let's just start with, a softball kind of topic here. So anyway, why are we so tempted to use platitudes or cliches? What do you think, Susan?
Well, I will say that this has been happening since before social media trended anything. These would be the things that you would find cross-stitched and hanging in your grandmother's on her wall. Maybe they've been updated maybe for
cross-stitch
today's
is back,
time.
though, I think.
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah, I could. That was the only sewing I could do, but I'm not going to go there right now. But it's just so easy, especially I was thinking about the ones we're going to do in the podcast. These feel like little Band-Aids you want to put on wounds. And the thought, the urge to help someone and comfort them, that is a good urge. It's just we're offering people sometimes Band-Aids that we think are actually biblical when really, one, the person needs something bigger than a Band-Aid, and the Band-Aid's really not biblical. And so it's just what we grab, if that's what we heard growing up, if that's just what we hear around us at school or at work or just in your, coffee time with other friends. And frankly, a lot of what our vocabulary has become does come from Instagram, TikTok, all the things like that, memes. And I'll probably in this podcast also use the wrong terminology because I am in my 50s and my children may be mortified if they ever heard this. So.
All right, we're in the gray zone here.
Yeah, that's right.
But we desperately want encouragement. So right before we got on the podcast, I went in and I got myself an iced tea in the other room. Usually do myself an Arnold Palmer in the afternoon,
nice.
Try to keep going.
Yep.
Anyway, I picked up my trivia packet and it said, empowerment is good. It was so even the trivia packet and Dove chocolate, they are offering advice to us. Yeah. And like you said, on social media, we've all become an expert. We all have a platform. And I just want to say right up front, we are not experts. We're just fellow gospel friends who are just pilgriming through this life. And so the idea here in the podcast series is that we want to take a sober look at some of the things that we may say just because we have nothing else to say. We don't know what else to say, so we say it.
That's right.
And then, but could there be something more truthful or more life-giving that we could say, just instead of just feeling like we have to, like you said, slap a Band-Aid on it or fill up the air around us. Sometimes we don't need to say anything, right? So,
we hadn't even thought about that.
Yeah, well, that might be a whole nother podcast. Yeah, but we're gonna explore some of these common kind of plastic platitudes that we just kind of slap on people, and really the problem is they deliver a false hope.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
they deliver a false hope, and that can really lead to despair, don't you think?
Oh, for sure. I mean, there's nothing worse. Like if you're dying of thirst and someone offers you like something that's not going to quench your thirst, like
a Diet Coke, like you're drinking. Yeah,
no, that's different.
Okay, sorry,
but no. But seriously, like here, have hot chocolate with marshmallows as you come out of the desert, panting for water. I mean, yeah, it's liquid, but you're not really understanding the situation. Plus, you don't know what's really going to quench. And I think Jesus even says that, with the woman, Samaritan woman. Is that right? I'm blanking. Where he's like, I can give you water that will always last. And so we're wanting to look at, okay, if someone's in trouble or needs something, we want to give them something that lasts, something that's more than the moment. I think that if I'm struggling and somebody says something like one of these little pithy sayings, I understand they're trying to help, but it makes me not necessarily want to go back to them for help because I just feel like I just drank a bunch of hot chocolate after the desert. Like this is not helpful. But anyway.
Yeah, I think that's true. Sometimes we want an instantaneous resolution.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're really impatient and our attention spans have been cut down to nothing.
Yeah.
Because of, all the digital media that we consume. And so sometimes that's the way we are transactionally in our relationships. Like, let's just slap a Band-Aid on it. Let's just get this over with.
Yes.
Let's just stop this conversation. Let's redirect. Mm-hmm. And so that's really not kind. That's really not compassionate. I know I have done it a million times to people.
Oh, me too. Yeah.
And just trying sometimes in my insecurity, being sarcastic, just like I'll just say something to try to divert the attention to something else.
Yeah.
And so maybe we're the people who are saying it to other people. We may be delivering these little pithy plastic platitudes. Mm-hmm. But what happens when somebody says it to us? Like, how can we receive that? Like, we don't want to slap it away, And some of you saw the reel that I put up that the most mentioned word on the Encourage podcast in 2025 was church. So then there was just a reel of you and I going church, 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 church. And so I guess we're kind of like the church ladies. I don't want to come across as a church lady who's legalistic, who's saying, well, just don't do that. Like, is there a gracious exchange that can happen if someone just casually says something to us?
Yeah, I think you have to look at the heart behind it. If it's the type of person who is trying to do the work for me, like, let me just tell you what to do. Yeah. And blah, 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 which I can do to people, so I recognize it. I think if they say something like, you do, I just want you to be happy, or look, when God closes a door, he opens a window. I mean, things like that, which what I think about a lot of these is they do have some truth in it. And I think if you look at how Satan works from the very beginning, he twists truth. And with Eve, he had some facts straight, but he twisted it so it kind of became okay, and she adopted that. And so I think you have to look at these statements, whether people are saying it to you or not, one, with grace, and they're trying to help. And this is what they have in their toolbox. And I appreciate that. And we need, as women who want to help others, go, okay, but what can I offer? If that didn't really help me, it may not help someone else. So what would help? And then you go to the Bible and go, okay, there is something needed. There is something behind these statements. There is something there. I don't want to say, this is a disaster, don't ever do this. I want to understand why we attach ourselves to it. Why does that feel biblical to us? What's the need behind that pithy statement? Because if there's a real need, there is a real fix from the Bible. We just want to have that in our toolbox instead of the pithy statements that we've just kind of inherited.
So good. So good. And when someone comes to us, I think sometimes we use these cliches because I like what you said, there is an element sometimes of truth. It might be a half truth, which a half truth is really a lie. But having a conversation with someone, which is really a discipleship moment where we stand in that gap between what they've said and kind of like what's underneath what they said, what's the motivation for what they said.
Yes.
And then instead of being holier than thou and coming in heavy, maybe what we do is ask questions like, the one that I always have in the back of my pocket is tell me more because that always leads to something else. But like, tell me more about, why you said that or why you feel that way.
Yeah.
And then usually what happens is somebody's telling you their story when they were in a hard place. And I think you hit the nail on the head that when there is an element of truth, it resonates with people, and that's why it trends.
Yeah.
Because they're finding some little part of it that they can attach themselves to. So today we're gonna hold up You Do You to the light. Yeah. It may seem like it's a little thin. So we may be able to see through it. We're not coming in judgmental, but saying, okay, why do we use that phrase? How can we think biblically about it? And so, these things become just a regular part of our conversation. And so, like, how do you think this got into just common usage? Like, why do we say you do you?
Oh, yeah. Well, especially, so say if we do kind of hone it into, say, the church context, I could see, because there are a million ways, and I've said this, and I want to say again, this does not mean you're going to hell in a handbasket if you say this phrase, okay?
Right.
So I'm just saying we don't want to be legalistic, and I do think that there are some reasons we have adopted it, because there are some things that may be in your story that would make this feel like it is biblical. I think about how many times, especially in the church context, you felt like all Christians needed to look alike. They needed to dress alike. If they needed to have a certain kind of makeup or, that and it depends on your culture. It could be that in your church, everybody had to have tattoos and everybody had to wear jeans to church. Like it's not like just, oh, that's what those Southerners do or that's what those hippies do. Like every church has a culture. And if you do not
Christian subcultures,
that's what I'm trying to say. And then you're like, wait a minute. So part of me says, God created me as I am with how I dress and how I do makeup and how I have tattoos or don't have tattoos. I don't know. I'm not getting into all the nitty gritty. I'm just saying that I can see how there's been some pushback against you are putting on me a cookie cutterness of Christianity that Jesus doesn't. And so I could say to someone who's feeling that, it's like, you do you. Like, you be who God created you to be with your unique story in this unique place. To me,
which is good.
That's good. That's good. But this is what happens to good with people like us. We turn it into bad. We take it.
It's tainted, yeah.
It's tainted because then if you're like me, you start getting a little haughty with it. And you start saying, oh, well, I'm just going to be me. You can't tell me what to do. And who's the boss of me? And, my choices of how I dress, my sexual choices, my habits, what I eat, what I drink, what I smoke or not smoke, all these things. Like you start putting a wall up around you or giving that permission to your friend because y'all think alike and say it's like a wall against any kind of correction. Biblical correction is good correction. And so you're basically saying, I'm not going to take that. And I have a phrase that feels good and righteous, which is, I need to be who God made me to be. But when you're not willing to listen to God about how he wants you to be, then that's that's where it's crossed, And so I think sometimes that we sin in this way, and we kind of want to look at other believers who are not like us in pride and say, well, you just got to take me or leave me. And I'm going to leave you too. I'm just saying, it gets to be really some bad juju in between Christians even. And you can take this to family context, work in your town context. But just so we don't cover every scenario, I'm just thinking about the church.
Yeah, it can become a justification for self-centeredness.
Yep.
Self-righteousness, self-reliance. Self. In other words, what is the reference point? You.
Yeah.
Do you. There's only 3 words in the statement, and 2 of them have to do with you.
That's right. That's a bad side.
But it's not about you. So,
No.
So I love what you're saying because, God has actually told us how we're supposed to be the person that he created us to be.
That's right.
And yet the culture is telling us, and so this really goes to that Romans 12:2 kind of idea of do not be conformed to the world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind. Those conforming pressures that say self-actualization is your highest good.
Yeah.
You become your best you that you can ever be. And that will sell books.
Oh, yeah.
That will sell on social media. People will follow people who say, you have a right to be the center of the universe.
That's right.
And so, and that's in essence back to the garden, what Eve wanted. She wanted to be God. That's what she was tempted with. And so either God will be the reference point for all of life, or we will seek to be the reference point of all of life. So really, when we hold it up to the light, what we see is our temptation. It's our default. We want it to be about us.
Yeah. Yeah, we want to be the center of the universe. We want to sit on the throne. And I think what makes me really sad about these pithy statements is that it's really cutting off health, is cutting off growth, is cutting off being stronger and having a closer relationship to Jesus. And frankly, if it is your mantra, you may not see heaven. This could be a barrier to salvation because at some point, Jesus has to be on the throne. And so if you're being told and you're reinforcing this with your children or your friends or your spouse or your coworkers, you are actually not even giving them something healthy because it is a barrier. It is saying it is okay when no one can drive the ship but Jesus. It always ends in trouble when we are our own gods.
Wow. You're actually saying something about idolatry here, but that girl power, because really this is the girl power mantra.
Yeah.
And when we think in helping women to think biblically about all of life, you're saying that girl power actually stunts growth.
Oh, yeah.
That is completely against culture, what culture
Isn't that
tells
ironic?
us.
Yeah.
Because they're saying, no, you can be your best you, and you deserve to be that, right? This past Sunday, Chris was preaching on Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And he talked about something we've talked about in our home with our kids, because I think this is kind of when we go back to our teenage self. We don't know how old they were, but there is a prideful nonconformity that the world will applaud.
For sure.
You be distinct. You're not like anybody else. You be you. You be a unique person, how you're different from other people. But Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego had a humble nonconformity.
Yeah.
In fact, so much so that King Nebuchadnezzar didn't even notice until somebody else brought it to his attention. And we need courageous, humble nonconformists in the world who are saying, I want to be who God made me to be, and I'm not going to do it to be the center of attention. I'm not doing it to differentiate myself from other people, to somehow add value or some kind of worth to who I am because I'm just different to be different.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But I'm different for the glory of God.
Yeah.
And so.
Well, I mean, and that's, yeah, there's so much to say on this. A lot of it will get us in trouble. But this is the thing. This is why we're saying, track this motto to the end of a life. Look at the woman who is in the last days of life, whether in a nursing home, in her bed, like it is about to be over. What does you do you get you then? You do you got you where everybody else is. And if you don't have that eternal hope, that relationship with Jesus, I mean, that's the whole reason we need him is because we are not enough. And so we're basically saying, no, actually I am. I remember back in my days and the version of this that really impacted my generation of when I was young mom and I had time to watch daytime TV was Oprah. And I remember it was very close to true. Like I kept on going, I think she might be a Christian. And then there would be a subtle shift about the light in us. That was a big thing back then. If you can just be you, if you can just be authentic you and the light in you and access that good in you, that good is in everyone. Okay. This is the 2026 version of that. It has been recreated and dressed a different way for these young women that were in our shoes when we were young women. And so I'm just saying this is nothing new. It is dressed up differently and it's working just like it did a lot of those other times. But this is what saves it is there was something that in my brain, I went, wait a minute, something's not jiving with what I know from the Bible. And so I think our immunity to a lot of these sayings like this one is, wait, I never heard Jesus say, hey, you do you. He said, you do me.
He said, you're going to lose your life.
You're going to lose your life if you don't. And then Paul said, imitate me as I'm imitating Christ. Like we all need to do Jesus. That's what we need to do. And that's the truth that Satan wants to keep from us.
Absolutely. That's the end game. Romans 8:29, that we be conformed to the image of Christ. Yeah. And so it's not, we're not going to become more and more Karen. Heaven, please help us. No one wants to be a Karen. I mean, it's the most pejorative term in America right now. But we want to become more like Christ. And so as we hold these statements up to the light, the true light, as you say, not the light within us, not the light of what our friends tell us. The truth is, honestly, that it's not about us. And that is the most freeing thing that we could say to you, friends, today. And so really, we just want to model here in the last little part of the podcast what it looks like as gospel friends to wrestle with these things. And maybe you're not the woman who is sitting at the end of her life, who've traced that trajectory of you do you, but maybe you're in your 30s and you actually see the thinness of this. You see this is not working. And hopefully a gospel friend will sit across from you and remind you what is true and how the gospel is the only hope. It's not a false hope. It is a true hope. It's the only hope that we can bring to our hearts. It corrects our thinking. And so why is it good news that it's not about us?
Well, there are a million. Yeah. And even as you're talking, like one of the things is it's not just for eternity's sake. If I do me right now, guess what I do? I gossip, it gets me in trouble. When you do you, talking to me, I tend to lose my temper because somebody didn't appreciate my dinner I cooked. Like if I am the center of my world is crummy. So it's helping your friend or helping your spouse or helping your sister or your roommate go, I want better for you now. Like, you will thrive. You will have freedom. Like you were saying, you will actually have growth. You're actually going to get stronger and be able to help others. And you're just going to see things for what they are, not for this mirage that the world is tricking us with.
Yeah, that you serve a king.
Yeah.
And he is on the throne. You don't have to be on the throne. In fact, all your running around and trying to prop yourself up is exhausting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You're trying to, make your own little kingdoms and get your own little people to follow you and do what you want them to do. I mean, to say, wow, my chief end is to glorify God and enjoy him forever. That's what I was put on this earth to do. It has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do about making much of him, not the exhausting, never ending despair of trying to make much of us.
Yeah.
It just makes me sick when you say it, and yet I get up every day and I fall back into that trap.
For sure. And this is the other thing. And this is why I started all saying why I think this has kind of gotten traction is because he did make you individually. He made you for specific things he wants you to do. The whole I prepared good works. Is that Philippians?
That's Ephesians 2:10.
There you go.
Yeah.
Like I've prepared these things, good works for you to walk in. And also, I was reading in Haggai, and it's about when the temple was disappointing and they were trying to build the temple after exile. And God says, work, for I am with you. Like, I want you to do things, but it's like you said, for my purposes, for my plans, for my glory. And the thing is, when somebody invites me to be a part of a team project and they're so fun and wonderful and I know it'll succeed, that's an easy yes. That's fine. I don't want to be in charge of that. And God is asking us to do that. He's saying, would you like to be part of my kingdom? Would you like to be my ambassadors? Would you like to tell your friend that who is weary, that she doesn't have to do her? Like, I'm here because being her is getting her nowhere fast. And the last thing I need when I am weary and at the end of my rope is for someone to say, oh, you can do it. And I'm going, but if I could do it, I wouldn't be here.
Right. I'm at the end of the rope. Did you notice?
Yeah. There's no more rope that's called Susan Tyner.
Just enough to hang ourselves, right? That's about it. Yeah. And so, I think in terms of what we get to do in women's ministry is we gather other women who are exhausted of trying to be at the center, trying to run their own little universe, trying to prop up their reputations.
Yep.
And we get to come and sit around God's word and remind each other what is true and to worship a God who is not only worthy of our praise, but worthy of our lives.
Yeah.
It's all about him. It's not about us. And so that's one of the greatest privileges that we have. And we get a chance to remind each other what is true. And so one of the things that I need, because I'm prone to wander and prone to forget, are gentle reminders that it's not about me. And so each week on the podcast, we're going to send you a unique screensaver for your phone, or you could put it on your iPad or whatever. And we're picking a verse that will hopefully reverse the curse in some of these little cliches. And so this week we're gonna pick. So whether you eat or drink or whatever you do all for the glory of God. So whatever you put your hand to, whatever your heart goes towards, whatever your head goes towards, the question is, are you at the center or is it God? God is at the center. You have any other comments about that?
Well, that particular verse, I'm just now putting it 2 and 2 in my brain, that is what my daddy told us every time we got out of the car to go to school. He would say, do all for the glory of God. And I remember as a middle schooler, even high schooler, I was kind of embarrassed, hoping no one else heard that coming out of the Chevrolet, But it so impacted me that when I had a job in Charlottesville, Virginia, that was so boring. It was January at Monticella's gift shop. No one was buying gifts in January at Monticello. And so I was like, nobody sees me. Nobody's coming. And I would dust those glass shells with that ringing in my ear, that the person I'm impressing does see me, and he sees if I'm willing to work, even when it's just not going to give me any glory. So I love this as a mantra because my daddy used it.
I love it. And, there's nothing that's too mundane
That's right.
or the majestic of this verse. And so I think that's when I'm tempted, when I am doing the mundane, when I am mopping the floor when nobody sees, when you're changing the diapers out there, when you're dusting the glass shelves, you're tempted to make more of yourself.
Yeah.
And instead seeing, wow, this is an opportunity to glorify God. That's what I get a chance to do. So we're hoping that you'll share this conversation with a friend. We'll make these screensavers shareable so you can share it with a friend, perhaps someone who needs the encouragement this week. And we're just going to ask one last question. If you and I believed that this was true, what we just covered, how do you think it would change your week this week?
Are you asking me? Or
I'm asking everybody. I'm asking everybody who's listening, and I'm asking you, and I'm going to give my answer. So I'll start first. I think with starting the new year, I started with a whole list of tasks, and it was overwhelming. It was daunting. And the whatevers that on that list, if I take them one at a time, and I come to the Lord and say, it's not about me. It's not about my reputation. It's not about whether I'm successful in what I do. Whatever I do this week, even eating and drinking, I'll do it all to the glory of God. And so it kind of hopefully will de-escalate some of the weight that I feel of the list that I'm looking at, all the whatevers on my list. How about you?
Oh yeah, I got that list stared at me. But I don't usually pick a word for the year like that's very cool to do now. But I did this year because I was just trying to think about like, what do I want to how do I want to grow? And joy came to mind. And I am a task-oriented person. I'm the one that finds so much pleasure when my husband and I spend the Saturday running errands and cleaning out a closet. Like, he's like, you don't rest. You just do things that make you feel better, So I think
thanks, Lee.
Yeah, thanks, Lee. Right. But anyway, I think the key to me having joy is shifting from I'm the center, it's my list, it's my plan, to whatever I do, the pressure's not on me. The pressure is on Jesus and his Spirit to do what it needs to do. And so I think I'll relax more and I'll just laugh. I'll laugh if things flop and I'll go, great, I'm glad that worked. Let's move on to the next thing. And I just think I will have this sounds crazy. I just want to laugh more in my service to Christ. I think he laughs over us, like watching kids do their thing on the playground. Like, she's really good at jungle gym. He's really good at the seesaw. Don't put her on that team sport. She can't run fast, but she's really good at, organizing the chart. He just delights in us. And if I feel his delight, oh man, I'm in. Like, what's more than that? It's just, so I want joy. I think this is a way to it, is glorifying God, which is so countercultural because we think we will be happier if we get our way instead of being a living sacrifice.
Oh my, we're going to get to that later, that you deserve to be happy, right? No.
Oh, yeah. Teaser.
But I will say that you've inspired me. It takes me back to our roots, probably when Oprah was on in the background, where you could say, I could cross stitch for you Proverbs 31. She laughs at the days to come.
Oh, maybe that should be my verse.
I love it. Maybe you just get that joy sweatshirt. I don't know.
Yeah,
but definitely don't get the you do you sweatshirt. Anyway,
no, I won't.
Well, thanks for listening along, friends. We hope this will be a fun ride. Share this conversation with a friend. We'll put those screensavers out. Hope that you'll join us next week on the Encourage podcast when we try to tackle My Voice is Important and I Can Speak My Truth Boldly. And I'm going to say it as sassy as I think it might be said. We'll see you next Tuesday on the Encourage podcast.
Okay.
Thanks for listening to the Encourage podcast, where we have one aim: to bring the hope of the gospel to the hearts of women. We've planned this year full of exciting connections, and we don't want you to miss a single one. So stay connected with us on our website, women.pcacdm.org. Consider sharing this episode with a friend and keep the conversation going. Or even better, giving to CDM so we can make this podcast available to women all over the world. The Encourage Podcast is a production of CDM, the discipleship ministry of the PCA.